The NFL should have never disrespected the Chiefs. Let's talk about that. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Get your asses in here and hit that like button, and let's get rolling today. Talk some Chiefs football. We got an exciting season coming up, Mike. And I said the NFL should have never disrespected the Chiefs. And I use NFL as a broad term here, okay? It's the NFL itself. It's other teams. It's ex-players. It's fans. It's analysts. Everybody's disrespecting the Chiefs. God forbid they lost their third Super Bowl in a row. Now it's over for them. They suck ass. But you know what? Patrick Mahomes hears it. Travis Kelce hears it. And those two have both vowed to be in their best shape ever this season. And I think they're coming for vengeance. I think they're coming for blood. And I think they're going to go scorched earth on the NFL, Mike. I think the NFL, fans, teams alike, have set it up to where they don't want to be. The Chiefs are pissed.
They are. Hey, they hate us because they ain't us. That's a nice little quote.
Anus?
They ain't us. He said anus. They hate us because they ain't us. I'll pronunciate that a little better. That's the thing, dude. We've talked about it. I threw it up on X. I was just telling you about it. We're making like Netflix TV shows with them talking hate, like Bills and Dolphins fans throwing away their rivalry of hatred for years and years and years over just the fact that they hate the Chiefs now. Just your hate of the Chiefs can now end wars. Maybe they should throw that out to Israel and see if they can end that war over there. Let's see if they all hate the Chiefs as much as the other side does. Maybe it'll stop. Maybe call Russia, see if they'll end that war over there, you know? That's just the thing, dude. It's disrespect, but at the same time, don't you find a little pride in it? Like, little kid me, 35 years ago, I would have begged for this. 20 years ago, you begged to be the most hated. Because if you're the most hated, you're the center of the attention. That means you're winning. That means they can't stop you. And people hate success after so long. And that's what I like, man. I don't let them hate. Let them give us the attention, the negativeness.
And let them give us the fuel.
Let the hate run. Yeah, because that means we're winning.
Well, I mean, I think the Chiefs have definitely took on the villain role. We talked about that like almost 2 years ago, and I think that they have accepted that. Like, that's what they are now. They all know it. They know that they made everybody so horned up they passed out that they didn't show up to the Super Bowl and let the Eagles win like that. I mean, it was the big payoff for everybody. Hating the Chiefs all year, and it was just the big climax for everyone, right? And I think the Chiefs have to know that that was a major letdown for not only them. It made them look kind of like bitches a little bit. And then also, it kind of let the fans down who had their back all year, right? Just that's a poor performance. And I know a lot of things went into it. But either way, they're still the best team in football. They're coming off of 3 straight Super Bowls. Yes, they lost the third one, but they're still the best team in football. They're still top of the mountain. Mike, I promise you, nobody's worried about Jalen Hurts, okay? No one's thinking about Jalen Hurts, even though he just won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is still that guy. I'm sorry, but he is. I mean, he wins. That's what he does. He finds ways to win. Even when he's not playing well, his team went to 3 straight Super Bowls. Now he's got a bunch of weapons. People tend to forget that 2 years ago, they went to the Super Bowl with the worst receiving core I've ever seen in the NFL. And they won it. So, I mean, to doubt Patrick Mahomes, and I've seen PFF put out a graphic, Mike. It was the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes, still number 1. And of course, everyone in the comments was just having a fit about it. Because he's not good. He sucks. He's been riding his team to success. Mike, I'll tell you something. If they really believe that this team would be good without Patrick Mahomes, do they not forget Andy Reid never won a Super Bowl until he had Patrick Mahomes? The Chiefs hadn't been to a Super Bowl in 50 freaking years until they had Patrick Mahomes. How are you going to say that he's riding the team?
Right.
Like, get out of here with that.
I brought up the article because I was literally like, call it brother intuition. I don't know. but I was already bringing that up. They did give Mahomes the top spot here, and so you got to give him credit for that because Mahomes had a little bit of a down season last year. You do have to factor in the fact that we had tons of injuries. We were running with 47 backups out of the 53 players. We didn't have an offensive line. But there's been a couple years where Mahomes seems to be like struggling with something. He's like struggling with it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Nagy. Maybe it's the Nagy effect. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like Andy's offense is a little stale. Maybe his receivers. Maybe it could just be the offensive line. That's a thing. But they did put him number one, and they said Mahomes still holds the top spot, but the margin has never been slimmer. And I'm guessing that's with Joe Burrow, who they made number two. Over Lamar Jackson, it's wild, but it's funny at the same time because Burrow literally has won one game versus the Chiefs when it counted, and he got blown out in the Super Bowl, and somehow he's the second best quarterback in the league.
Oh, they didn't get blown out, Mike. They only lost because of one bad call. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, sure. T. Higgins going over the back, not getting called for OPI. His passing grade over the past two seasons sits at 86. That's a strong number, but a step below his elite level we saw through 2018 through 2022. Steve, if you look at that, though, yes, he did have a more elite number in 2018 through 2022. He had a more stable offensive line. That's just the way it was. The supporting cast hasn't always helped, particularly at receiver, so at least they call that out. But it's fair to say this otherworldly level of play we saw from him in 2018 through the 2022 is starting to get further and further away in the rear view. That said, no one blends poise, playmaking, postseason performance like Mahomes, which is why he remains at number one entering 2025, even if the field is closer than ever. So they just went on to say that it's further and further in the rear view that you're seeing Mahomes' otherworldly play. So they don't think there's any Mahomes magic left over at PFF. It's so far in the distance. He's left that, years ago. Do you think his magic's gone?
That's on him. No, I absolutely don't. But I mean, the last couple of years, Mike, it's not looked that way. But he's got to get out of his own head. He's got to get back to slinging the football, just giving his receivers chances. He's got way better weapons now than he did a couple of years ago when he got all conservative. I mean, when your number one receiver's MVS, I understand why he got conservative. I get it, but now it's time to get out of your head. You got Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and they just drafted Jalen Royals. And I mean, even Juju Smith-Schuster is better than freaking MVS. So, I mean, come on. I think he can get out of his head a little bit this year and get back to the old Patrick Mahomes. And I think we're going to see that. Last time Patrick Mahomes was embarrassed in a Super Bowl, he won MVP the next season. I think it's going to be the same thing here. He's going to come back with a vengeance. We've seen he's been working hardcore in the offseason. He cut the hair, Mike. He's trimmed up a little bit. He's in better shape. Speaking of that, Travis Kelce's doing the same thing. He's lost 25 pounds. Said he wants to play in his best shape ever this season. And I think they're really focused on getting in here and getting back to what they need to be doing, which is focusing on winning football games and winning Super Bowls as opposed to barely scraping by and, doing commercials and doing TV shows and doing movies. And listen, I think that we want to focus in on football this year. And if it's Kelce's last season, I think he owes it to Chiefs Kingdom to focus on football strictly and just do this thing this year and then be done. Then you can go do whatever you want. Go do whatever you want after that. That's fine. No one, I can't say anything about it. I mean, he's putting a lot of years here, but at the same time, if you're going to be here, be here. And then Mahomes, he's just got to get out of his own head, bro. That's all there is to it.
I think it's wild when they act as though Mahomes, I don't know how to exactly say it, but it's wild when they try to say Mahomes is just fell off the wagon, and then they lightly and very sneakily they'll casually just throw it in. Well, he doesn't have weapons, and his offensive line's kind of stunk for 4 years. But the magic's so far in the distance, and I don't think you could gloss over that fact. I think it's a little ridiculous from the media. Which, by the way, we all know how the media works. The media is the most dishonest thing there ever was. I don't think they've told the truth in 25 years on any subject.
Right.
So it's all become nothing since the internet come out, but it's nothing but a clicks game. Who gets the news out first? Damned it if it's right. It doesn't matter if it's right. You just got to be the first to say it. So everything's an opinion piece. Nothing is true. And so it's wild to me that they'll gloss over that fact. But then they wanted to praise Jalen Hurts so much. Look at the offensive line that guy had, front to back. He has Mekhi Becton playing guard. Okay, that's how good
they had a
their
top offensive line in the league. They also had
look at the receivers he's got.
Top receiving
three number ones.
We're talking about PFF, talking about Patrick Mahomes being number one. They put A.J. Brown at the number one receiver over Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson.
Right, you're fine. I said 3 number ones, but I meant 3 first-round picks. Because they just went and traded for Jahan Dotson. And who give it to them? Their own inter-division. The Redskins, the Commanders, they traded right over Jahan Dotson right before the season starts and gives them their number 3 receiver, who is a first-round pick. They've got Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Could this guy play for a more loaded offense?
He's literally playing on a Pro Bowl team.
He's playing on a Pro Bowl team.
Jalen Hurts is like the 6th, 7th, maybe even 8th best player on his offense.
And yet, Mahomes...
Which is wild.
Mahomes, who literally didn't have his biggest wide receiver acquisition. Kelsey had his head halfway up his butt. You had another injury from Rice, who was our best receiver going in, who is still just right there at the elite level. I don't know what to tell you. But right there, he's had all this injury, and he's shuffling rookie left tackles, and he's shuffling all this stuff. And we just gloss over that fact. Mahomes is supposed to be so good that he needs to elevate the Water Boys to go to the Super Bowl, and he has several times. But yet all these other guys can have Pro Bowl players, and then when they win, they're elite, and Mahomes is slipping. It is wild to me. The media is a farce. Everybody is ignorant when it comes to football. Steve, I've come to the conclusion that 99% of sports writers don't know ball.
Well, Mike, sports writers are bad, but so are just casual football fans or even hardcore football fans of other teams that live in delusion that they just hate Patrick Mahomes so much that they think he's bad. They've convinced themselves that he's bad, that he's not good. It's like, do you understand, since this kid came in the league, the Chiefs have, they'd already started in the AFC West, but they're going on 10 AFC West championships in a row if they get it this year.
Don't tell Harbaugh they haven't won yet, because I think they're crafting up a banner to throw up this year.
Wait a second.
They get that off-season media banner.
Patrick Mahomes has never played in less than the AFC Championship game since he started. That is insane, dude. And it's funny because Patrick Mahomes has been playing a little longer than you think. Like, I feel like time's getting away from us a little bit. It's
pretty wild.
We're starting to enter like the prime, like middle of Patrick Mahomes' career here soon.
Which is why Brett Veach has to figure out this offensive line thing. You can't squander this. These are the golden years. And you've got away with Mahomes elevating, and you've got away with a lot of big-time Mahomes magic. I totally get that. But you are going to see that slip, as everybody's saying, if you do not correct it. Football is still a team game.
Right.
And there's no difference if you take the 2 Super Bowl teams and you swap those quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts would not get the Chiefs to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely not. Good Lord,
but
can you
Patrick
imagine how
Mahomes
bad they would be?
And the Eagles would now become the biggest juggernaut to ever play the game. And that's the thing. The media would say that if Patrick Mahomes was wearing the Kelly green. They just don't want to say it in the red and gold.
And Payback says it right there in the chat. No run game whatsoever. Andy won't run the ball, and we don't really have any. We haven't had any elite running backs. I mean, Kareem Hunt maybe in his rookie season, second season.
Kareem Hunt was on his way to being one of maybe the best back to ever put on a Chiefs uniform if he would have kept himself.
And then he decided to be a punter instead, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he wouldn't have lied about it to the upper management, I think that's what got him. But yeah, you're right, man. We've not had it. I love Pop, but Pop's just not in that elite level. I'm sorry,
dude. No,
he don't have the elite field vision.
First of all, I would like to point out that the year, I think, the year that we won the Super Bowl against the Eagles was the worst wide receiver core we've ever had. It was literally like Kadarius Toney, Skyy Moore,
caught
MVS.
a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Juju was our number one guy then, and that's just how it was. So, I mean, you think about that, and they beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl. That's what Patrick Mahomes had to work with, and that was with Isaiah Pacheco as running back, a 7th-round draft pick. Okay, if you put Jalen Hurts on that exact team, they wouldn't have even been near the playoffs.
No,
it's insane.
That shows exactly. Steve, you can take, I think it's time. We have to start getting a little bit. Brett Veach hit with Pacheco. There's no doubt about that. Pacheco was a hit in the draft for a 7th-round pick.
Yeah.
But we've got to get to the point to where it's becoming like the NBA out here. These teams are building super teams each and every year. They're disrespecting the salary cap. They figured out ways to go around it. The salary cap's a myth at this point.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's a myth. These same teams, like the Eagles, do this every single year. The Bills are starting to figure it out. They're doing the same stuff.
It just depends on how much cash money that guys want to spend as far as owners.
And they're getting rewarded and helped because each year the NFL is getting more and more popular because of teams like the Chiefs. And they're just riding our coattails, getting more money every year. Salary cap's going up. And then they're using that to try to beat us. And then Brett Veach is still stuck out here in 1992, and we always talk about how we can't sign anybody. Like, well, we can't sign anybody.
I think it's more about Clark Hunt. It's more about how much money the owner wants to put out to get around that salary cap stuff, right? It's how much cash they want to pay up front and bonuses and things like that. That's what I think. That's what Roseman was doing. I'm not a salary cap expert. I don't know how they're finagling it.
I'm not a salary cap expert either, but I'm just saying it doesn't matter how rich your owner is. All these teams have to play ball the same way. Like, you don't, like, Clark Hunt is not giving a player a salary and then not feeding his family for 2 weeks. Like, this is all being generated by revenue from the team.
Right. Can I point something out real quick while you're on the subject? The most, valuable sports franchise in all of sports is worth $6-point-something billion.
Who is that? The Yankees? The Cowboys?
The Boston Celtics.
The Celtics have now
the Boston Celtics. The Chiefs are worth $3-point-some billion. They're literally right up there. Like, the Chiefs are pretty close.
That's a monumental rise, to be honest. Does this include like European teams, like soccer teams and things, like Man U and surely not, right?
I don't know. I didn't dig in that.
Yeah, I don't get into that.
I didn't be like, hey, what are they doing over there in Europe playing football? Who cares? No one cares about that. But no, here's the thing, man. Something just as constant as Patrick Mahomes being in the AFC Championship game every year. Every offseason, the Chiefs are going to lose the AFC West. They're not winning it this year. They might not even make the playoffs. It's been that way every year that Patrick Mahomes has been a starter. Okay? So they say that every year. Right. Every season they say the same thing, analysts, fans alike. In every season that Mahomes is successful, the more and more successful he gets, the more bitter fans get. And the more you see stuff where it's like, well, he sucks anyway. It's just because his team's stacked. How are you going to tell me that Patrick Mahomes' team is stacked and he's riding his team to Super Bowls when you're glorifying the Eagles winning the Super Bowl with a freaking Pro Bowl team?
Yeah, off the back of just because Jalen Hurts is so good.
Yeah, get out of here.
It's wild. But, Steve, I do think Brett Veach is building the team. He's building the team in a way to where he's not having to spend all that money, right? He's not having to do all these backloaded, kicking the can down the road and paying all this, like, ghost money, basically, like Roseman and all that. But his draft was very successful this year. His draft's been successful for the past few years. I think he does need to hit. I think this is a very important draft. He tried to clean up the offensive line and address that big problem there with Josh Simmons. He's trying to add more pass rush. And, Steve, I said last year the pass rush was a little bit of a problem. I was starting to see it, especially with Felix not being able to get there very quickly. And that come to fruition a little bit. We've seen that throughout the season. So I think Brett Veach's seen that now. He's having to address that Noel Williams problem that we didn't have last year, where it was like, well, who's our number two? They don't want to play Josh Williams. So that became a little bit of a problem when Jalen Watson got some injuries. So I think this is a very important draft for Brett Veach, in my opinion, because this is a big draft class. He either hits it or he don't. You're teetering a line. It's a tough tightrope to walk to try to stay this relevant for this long.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to stay young and you have to keep hitting in the draft, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's hard to say because every season you can be excited about who they drafted and you could like the projection or the ceiling these players have or what they did in college, but really nothing matters until they get out there on the field in the NFL and we see what they can do. So, but either way, I think that Brett Veach does keep the team in the mix. So one way or another, this Chiefs team stays right in the mix. So 5 out of 6 Super Bowls is wild. That's a crazy thing to think about. And I honestly think that they should still be the favorite in the AFC this year. No one's proven to me yet that they can beat Patrick Mahomes when it counts.
Steve, we went through the roster last night. If you didn't watch that, go back and watch our live stream last night. We did that little exercise where we graded everybody on the team and how valuable they were to this team. Steve, we had 30 players in the top 2 tiers. I don't think you can get any other franchise but maybe the Eagles to do that with their roster. So I just don't think anybody's set up to beat the Chiefs yet in the AFC.
No, absolutely not. I mean, Joe Burrow is the only one to actually beat Patrick Mahomes when it mattered, like you said. And let's be honest here. That came at an epic meltdown of the Chiefs. It really had nothing to do with Joe Burrow.
No, it was every bit of how the Chiefs reacted to the situation.
Yeah, I mean, you had Tyreek Hill not getting in the end zone while they were on the 2-yard line at the end of the half. The big bitch fit with Eric Bieniemy. Everybody getting mad in the locker room. Patrick McClone showing up in the second half.
With Tyreek Hill, do you think the game ends the same way?
No, I don't. I really do think that was the start of the downfall there. And honestly, Mahomes turned into McClones. Everything went wrong for him. That half of football looked just like the Super Bowl did the entire time. Honestly.
Not to be a conspiracy theorist, but when you go back and rewatch that Super Bowl, you could watch from the intro to the coin toss to everything. Chiefs players look like they knew something was coming. It's almost as if they were just told, you guys are going to lose this one by 50. You can see, they didn't have any fire. They didn't have anything to the point that people thought they were drunk.
Absolutely not being a conspiracy theorist, be on the other realm of that. It goes with that. If you have no fire under, you have no momentum, you have nothing, you have no drive to even win the game, then you're not going to. And that's exactly how they looked on the back half of that AFC Championship game. They looked like they were just in la-la land, like they didn't care. And that's exactly how they looked in the Super Bowl.
There's usually a few times each season you'll kind of see shades of that, where it just don't look like they're ready to play or they just don't want to be there.
Hungover.
We've talked about that too with Andy. He just doesn't. He's so even keeled, and that does work. But at the same time, sometimes you're in those dog fights where you got to be really fired up to play. And some of those teams will get that. Sometimes with the Bengals in the regular season, that's their Super Bowl every year. So there they go. Right. I feel like that's becoming the new Bills game every year. The Bills are fired up to play us they could be undefeated 10-0, but they want to beat the Chiefs. They don't care. They could lose every game.
Right.
But yeah, I felt like last year we seen that, and it just so happened to fall right to the Super Bowl. You could almost see it in their eyes right off the bat, and I was like, this might be a bad night.
Yeah.
It was a horrible.
Dude, you could feel it right off the bat, right? Yeah. It was just everything went the Eagles' way. The Eagles had a Pro Bowl team. Everything went their way. The Chiefs played the worst game they've ever played, and that was the result.
He fed right into it.
Andy was the main cause.
You want to control the clock on us? You want to keep the ball away from Mahomes? Okay, we'll go 3 and out 15 times.
Yeah. And we won't run the ball until the second quarter. What in the hell was that?
Kareem Hunt, he wasn't even on the team, was he? I think he missed the flight.
Super Bowl. Yeah. Hey, guys, appreciate you all being here this morning. Good to see everybody. Do us a favor, hit the like button. We only have 24 likes. That's kind of sad. That's as sad as the Chiefs losing the Super Bowl pretty bad. So, yeah, just go hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds and help us out tremendously. But good to see everybody. Just talking some of the Chiefs' disrespect that we get every offseason. It's almost redundant at this point, and it's hard to talk about sometimes because we have to do it every offseason. But I think this offseason in particular, that I think it has more implications than it has before. Because people think that they're catching up to the Chiefs. People think that they're zeroing in on the Chiefs, and they want to use the Super Bowl loss as the first hit. It's time. It's time for them to finally go down. And then they're really piling on in the offseason. So I think it's fun to talk about it right now more than ever because the Chiefs really have to show up. They have to show up this season, dude. And you can't go out like that. You're definitely not going to let something like that affect your career going forward as far as Patrick Mahomes or Brett Veach and the Chiefs all together. You're in the middle of a dynasty. You still went to the last 3 Super Bowls. You won 2 of those. There is no reason that people should be talking about the Chiefs not even being competitive next year. That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard.
Steve, the Chiefs and Andy Reid, they always start off pretty dominant in September, I would say. we're always get out to a big start. If something were to happen this year and they were to start the season, say 1-2, 1-3, 2-2 even, do you think like the weight of all of that and just the way that the world will gloat like you've never seen before?
Happen. That will happen.
But do you think the weight of that hits this team and it causes a struggle bus season? So do you think it's very important how we start our season this year in September?
I think it is, but at the same time, you're looking at the Chiefs playing, and their first 9 games, they're playing like 6 or 7 playoff teams. Like, it's insane.
That's what I'm saying. It's big time front loaded.
So, like,
they're trying to put the final nail in, huh?
Yeah, I think that's what I really do. I don't know if I'm much of a conspiracy theorist on how they'd schedule and everything like that, and making it tougher on the Chiefs, even though it kind of looks like that every year. But I do think that that's what they did. They front loaded this schedule, and it's kind of like, hey, kick them while they're down, right? Let's try to go ahead and
they're like, hey, first game back, we're just going to send it over to Brazil.
Yeah, they're going to go to Brazil and play a division rival. Then they're going to come back and play the Eagles, Super Bowl rematch in their home opener. What could be more damaging to a team than losing again to the team that just embarrassed you in the Super Bowl on your home opener? So, I mean, they kind of set it up. And then they also have to play the Ravens. They have to play the Bills. A lot of good teams. The Commanders. They play a lot of good teams. The Lions. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think they're trying to kick them while they're down. They're trying to go ahead and bury them. So I think it is important how the Chiefs start. But then again, if the Chiefs were to lose 3 games, even 4 games out of their first 9, I think the back half of the season is a lot more favorable for the Chiefs.
It doesn't matter. I think this is just a perspective view. And this kind of goes for everything. It's almost that, like, I know you've seen the meme. There might be a saying with it, but, like, it's, you know, you hug somebody, but while you're hugging them, like you're stabbing them in the back, right? It's almost that thing. Like, people from the outside think that the Chiefs get babied. Like, they're always getting hugged by the NFL. But it almost feels as though, like, yeah, okay, they favor the Chiefs. Look, they get to go play in Brazil. They get to do this. They get all the primetime games. But in a way, it feels like the NFL's saying, hey, we're going to get you with all these too. So it almost feels like they're giving you, like, hey, we're nudging them towards getting the shaft here. But it's cloaked by the fact that it looks like they're getting favoritism, right? So it's like the NFL plays this perfectly in their hands. Because if the Chiefs take the downfall...
You think Roger Goodell's an evil genius, do you?
He could be. I think he could be. He tiptoes the fence a lot.
Man, all I know is that Ed in the chat said the Chiefs disrespected themselves by getting hornswoggled. Hornswoggled? What does that mean? I've never heard that term in my life.
Horned up.
Mike,
they were horned down.
We are the stupid hillbilly rednecks from Kentucky that shouldn't even be able to talk about the Chiefs. And I've never heard the term hornswoggled.
I haven't either, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not a good term.
I don't think so. I think it means they got their asses kicked. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, he's right. The Chiefs sucked.
Man.
It was a bad performance all the way around. I hate that we always got to come back and talk about that a little bit. It brings up hard, old wounds.
No, I think at this point, though, you're past that, and I think you have to look it in the face, right? Like, if you're the Chiefs, if I was Andy Reid, first of all, I would take a long, hard look in the mirror, and I would make myself watch my complete failure of a game plan over and over again.
God, I couldn't do it.
And because, I mean, let's be honest here. That was pathetic. Like, and the lack of adjustment was pathetic, especially coming from a GOAT head coach. Like, it's just unprecedented. It should not have happened. But then again, the way that the team performed and the effort that they performed with, I think they should be forced to watch that as well. It's time to face the music.
Not trying to make excuses, because the Chiefs were pretty bad too, but wasn't there also a thing kind of similar to the Tampa Bay game that we lost in the Super Bowl years before? It kind of had that same feel across the board. It's almost like the NFL was showing us the script over and over, like
right.
the writers.
Well, if you think about it, the Chiefs got down a little bit, like a score, maybe 2.
Right. But what I was going to say, really quick before you go, because I know what you're trying to say, but it felt like every time there was a big play or something, the flag come out. Like we had some momentum killed by flags, the same way we did with Tampa Bay.
Not as much as we had them walked into the end zone a time or two. And that's exactly what happened in Tampa Bay.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. We made a big play, a big third down stop. They throw like a fake flag, then they score within a few plays.
Yes, absolutely. That happened a lot. and it was early, and then all of a sudden the game got out of hand.
And
So, yeah.
obviously, you can't blame the whole game on that, but there was just signs of like it wasn't going to go our way, even from an NFL
Right.
perspective. Like,
Right, and I mean, I'm not saying that they made those calls intentionally, but I think that is how
You don't
questionable
have to
calls
be-
can affect a game, right?
yeah, you don't have to be intentional to be a slapnut. Like we see this in baseball every day. These umpires can't hit a strike zone. They've been doing this for 50 years. They can't call strikes in a strike zone.
Angel Hernandez, baby.
So you
goat.
basically, it's every umpire nowadays. Like just go get in TikTok in the algorithm where the umpires can't make calls, and it's every single night. So it's like these guys have one job, these officials, but they can do so much to affect a game and an outcome.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not really a game and an outcome. It's a momentum thing.
Right. Yeah, see, Kay Wayne says Andy got schooled by Sirianni. That alone should be enough for Andy Reid to really just beat himself up.
Yeah.
Right. And
Oh, God.
that's sad because Sirianni, let's be honest here, guys, he's not a good coach. He's a freaking idiot.
Is there anyone more unlikable than Nick Sirianni as the head coach?
Absolutely not. Completely smug, just dumb, cocky for no reason, and then they get a Super Bowl, which kind of makes me sick that he can corroborate his bullshit a little bit. Like now he really believes it. Can you imagine how dreadful he's going to be next season?
I don't, Steve. There's nobody in this entire planet that you probably wouldn't want to put in a room and smack in the face more than Nick Sirianni. Like he's got to be top three.
He's got one of those punchable faces. Like you'd rather punch him
Can
than
he
talk
really
to
be
him.
that bad of a person? Like on the outside of his personal life, like, or do you think he's that neighbor? Like his own neighbor's like, I hate that guy. Like he's constantly like.
I think his own family hates him. I'll take it one further.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, his kids don't like him if he has those. Like, it's just one of them things, bro. There's no way people actually like Nick Sirianni. I'm sorry.
His own mother, like, I rooted for this.
Oh, man. Hey, Justin, we're not bitching about the calls, but we are pointing out facts. And there were in the second, I think it was the second quarter, where the Eagles had a scoring drive because of a bad call on Trent McDuffie. And then they had a scoring drive because they threw a flag on Nick Bolton for a late hit on Saquon Barkley.
That was a bad call.
Yeah, dude. Like
1000%,
they
dude.
scored 14. That was a 14-point swing on should have been punts. You know, so I mean, you have to talk about that. Not really blaming the calls for getting your ass beat like that because that's not the case. But you can see where the momentum got swung.
Swing that momentum.
Swanging it.
Like Chris Jones.
JCP with the 5 bomb. Let's go, JCP.
Steve, he says, do we
the
have the ability
boy
to return back to the
watch.
bombs away style offense? Also, what rookie do you still think will have the best year?
So I do think that we can get back to that, but I don't know if the way Andy's trying to do it is going to work. Because I understand we have the receivers to do it now, but you got to install a run game. You have to have a consistent run game or you're never going to get back to hitting those big balls. Because we talk about that, big balls. We talk about that, though. Get back to hitting, you know, the home run plays, the deep bombs and all that. Well, when were we doing that? That was with Tyreek Hill. Even with Alex Smith in his last year, he was like the best deep ball thrower in the league for a year, which is wild. So you have that, and then Patrick Mahomes early, he had Tyreek Hill and all that. But what was the concept they had? They had good running backs. Like even Kareem Hunt in his first year and his second year was, like you said, he was borderline elite. He could have been potentially, if he would have never got in trouble and stayed here and kept that trajectory going, he could have been the best Chiefs running back ever right there with, you know, Jamal Charles and Priest Holmes. He could have been in that mix. And then even after that, you at least had Damian Williams, who was consistently running the ball and running it well. He wasn't anything crazy, but it was something that we could rely on. And then all of a sudden, it turns into we have no running game. Well, guess what? If you have no running game, they're not going to respect it, and you're not going to have a deep passing game. You're just not.
Especially with the offensive line woes.
Yeah,
Look,
exactly.
I think Mahomes gets it. The offense could get this back if you could protect Mahomes a little better. And by a little better, I mean a lot better. And then I think we just got to be healthier. And I think it's a mental struggle at this point. Like, you can't keep forcing it. Like, it's got to come within the game. It's got to come within the game plan and things like that. He also asked Steve, who do you think will be the most impactful rookie this draft class? I would say, honestly, it could just be Josh Simmons if Josh Simmons goes out and he's healthy and he wins the starting spot and he can keep Mahomes jersey clean. I don't think there's any way you would give it to anybody but him. But let's assume that he kind of has his rookie woes and this and that, and he's not just like a lights out all-pro
Or if they
player.
go with Jalen Moore.
Right. So who else would you give that to right now? I think I would almost lean
Ashton Gelati.
Gelati has a good chance of doing it because I think he's going to be firmly in the rotation. I also think Norman Lott will be in a nice little rotation.
One of those two could be.
But I
it.
think don't count out Noel Williams if he could find his way to get on the field early and he could prove trust with Spags and that.
Well, that's another thing though. If Omar Norman Lott and Ashton Gelati hit, and they're creating more pressure, and Chris Jones is able to do more, and George Karlaftis is doing more, and we have more pressure on the quarterback, that's going to make Noel Williams' life easier when he is in the game.
Makes everybody's life easier.
Right. So I do think that they could really be effective if they can get out there and actually put some pressure on these quarterbacks, man, because George Karlaftis has done a good job with that. Of course, Chris Jones, it's going to be hit or miss with him. He's going to be there when he has to be. He's going to make the big play when he has to make it. He's going to be clutch. But he's going to get double teamed every damn play, and there's nothing you can do about it. But if you put Omar Norman Lott in the middle and he's able to get a lot of pressure with that quick first step, and then you got Gelati coming off the other edge with George Karlaftis, it could get nasty for offenses across the league when they're playing the Chiefs real quick. And I think if the corners hold up to their end of the bargain, this defense could be really, really good. I think it all hinges on the offense this coming season. I think our defense is going to be just fine. They've been just fine for 2-3 years now. Spags has had them as a top 5, top 10 defense every season. Like,
who's the one guy on defense that you are just ready to see take the next step and just break out and become like him? Like, there is a specific guy I'm thinking of, and I just feel like he's got all the potential in the world, and he's not been unleashed just yet to his full potential. And I feel like maybe this year it could happen. You don't have it.
I mean, that's about it. I'd like to see George get home a little bit more.
No.
I don't know. What do you got?
I think it's Leo Chanel.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I think he has been bottled up and caged for 2 years now.
I took the question wrong. Okay, because that's nothing to do with Leo Chanel, though.
No, that's my point.
It's
ready
all
to see
about him
Leo
getting the opportunities, right?
Get more snaps, be more integrated, maybe even getting him on standing up outside, rushing that pass, getting back to what he was doing.
Man, they've done that a couple times, but they should do that a lot more.
He could be a big-time secret weapon for Spags because he has been kind of held back. They've had the reins on him here a little bit, but we're in the final stretch of the Kentucky Derby, Steve. These old Kentucky boys will talk about the Kentucky Derby. Whip that guy a few times and let's go. Get him after him.
There's a lot that Leo could do. There really is.
Leo could really be a game changer on that defense.
Max Carnage reviews with a 5-bomb. Appreciate you, my man. He says, I have a shirt idea for you guys. Royal Worthy Brown Rice. It's the Kansas City treat.
Brown rice?
Oh, I got you. I see where we're going with this.
So we're like the San Francisco treat.
I see where we're going with this. I would need to see it in like I gotta envision it, man. You gotta draw me a picture or something. Yeah. We gotta get it
when
going.
I say Kansas City treat, my little chubby self was thinking about Rice Krispie treats, and I was excited.
You were excited about that?
I was excited about a Rice Krispie treat.
I appreciate the dono, my man. Thank you for that. Yeah, man, it just is what it is. So I think all in all, we can really just start looking forward to the season, and I think it's going to be exciting because the Chiefs have a lot to prove this year now. All of a sudden, even though you have nothing to prove, and that's the thing about the Chiefs, they literally have nothing to prove, but now you have a reason. That Super Bowl loss was the reason. All this talk is the reason. Even though you really have nothing to prove, you still do. You still do. And here's the thing, Mike. Here's the funny part about it, is you can never prove it to the people that we're talking about. They will never accept it.
No.
And it doesn't matter, but let's keep using it as fuel. I mean, that's what you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I think the Chiefs, first and foremost, we see how they operate. Andy, the entire team, they're going to be focused. I think that they're going to be very disciplined. They're going to go through a really tough camp. I think the 53-man roster this year, we proved it last night, it's pretty high up towards the elite range. It's going to create more competition in camp. I just think across the board, it's going to be pretty exciting this season.
Yep. Good morning, Roulette King. I love it here too. We talk about football whenever we want. Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. Wake up. Let's get it going. Hey, it's the dead of the off season, Mike, but we do have OTAs getting ready to start.
Yeah,
So
I think they start here in a few days.
we're going to see a little movement on some things soon, so that's fun. Chief Broken Arrow says, I'm so fired up for this season, I accidentally slapped my own nuts. Remember when Jalen Royals got drafted, Mike, and I hit myself in the balls?
Yeah,
That was
that.
tough. That was tough. He says, "Let's go, lights out" should be the slogan for this year. What do you think Mike? If you were going to give a slogan for the team this year, what would you make it?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't have a good slogan.
Oh,
I
come
would
on.
say.
You don't let me
I
down.
don't know. What do you got?
I don't know. I thought you were going to have something good. That's your job.
I mean, for the team, I don't really know how he looked. I don't know. I have to think of it.
We'll just go with the Red Dead Redemption. I think that's what it needs to be.
Can we just talk about this for a second? Look what I just found.
What'd you find?
You ready? I'm going to share it. Here we go. Casey Kingdom says a forgotten Chiefs receiver may end up as an OTA standout.
No!
Skyy Moore. Skyy Moore could be poised for a breakout OTA session.
A breakout OTA. What the hell even is that? Come on, Casey Kingdom. What the hell is a breakout OTA session when you're 3 years into the league?
He says if Moore is unable to accomplish this breakout OTA season, he may be out of a job.
Come on. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute because that's always funny.
What's
Last night, Mike, we had a tier called "Let It Go," right? Something like that. Let them leave. I don't remember what you called it, but we changed the name.
Time to go or something like that.
We changed the name of the tier to the Skyy Moore tier because it's just over for Skyy. And here's the thing, though. I guess there's always a chance, right? Like Dumb and Dumber. Like Lloyd Christmas said. So you're telling me there's a chance. What are the chances that you think Skyy Moore ends up being the 7th receiver on the squad? And then from there, if he were to hit the lottery and actually make the team this season after everything he's done, what's the chances that he even catches a football one time? To the pit.
This was the tier of 60-some players, and it didn't load in a few like actual, like Brian Cook, I think, didn't get loaded in somehow. But yeah, the chances of him making the team, in my opinion, are not as low as a lot of people would think. I think it's honestly right at about 50-50 to start the season. Is he going to show up and prove something to Andy or not?
Skyy woke up and he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember how to do this thing."
Look. This is the kind. Okay, so the positive vibes here from KC Kingdom on can he do the OTAs? We seen this a little bit from Skyy Moore last year, Steve. We kind of wanted that to happen for him. At anything in life, when everybody picks on somebody over and over, they root for their downfall. You kind of start rooting for the underdog a little bit. We've always been underdog guys. You kind of wanted to see Skyy Moore go out and do that last year, and he showed in camp. He beat McDuffie on a few balls. He caught a couple touchdowns. He done this. Like, he had a decent camp. It wasn't horrible. It was enough of a decent camp that with the Kadarius Toney problems we see, we were like, he's probably going to make the team, guys. And that's why I say that's how we become the truthers. But this year, I feel like it's a little different. I feel like Skyy is 50-50 to make the team now because he is battling for that 6th or 7th spot, depending on what Andy wants to take. But I think he's slipping very, very rapidly because I do think public perception, I think that started to seep into the organization. I think he's on an uphill battle to make the team this year, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. But at the same time, if he makes the team, that doesn't surprise me all that much either. Andy just can't quit this guy.
Well, here's the thing, man. Skyy Moore's kind of an anomaly in a way He works very, very hard in the offseason. He always does.
Right.
He's always putting in the extra work. He's always down there with Patrick Mahomes in Texas catching footballs. He was fantastic in college. He was the top receiver in FBS.
He had one good year. That's the kind of the.
I get it. But
that's kind of the basis of how we grade receivers. Like you just don't want that one good year because you gotta follow that up with a couple good years.
Right, but looking at that year and looking at the skill set he had, it made sense that the Chiefs wanted to draft him. Right?
Yeah, they were still trying to replace that Tyreek Hill thing.
Right, which is weird because I don't think that's where he fell into the mix. I feel like Skyy Moore's more of the slot guy, get him the ball quick and let him do his work after the catch because that's what he was good at in college.
Look at the way he played in college. Compare that to Xavier Worthy. They're not even in the same boat in playing style. And Xavier Worthy was closer to the Tyreek Hill. So I don't understand the whole Skyy Moore to replace Tyreek Hill thing. That one made no sense to me. It's almost as if you needed a guy to come in and move the chains a bunch, but yet they never used him like that.
Never did.
Is it only because they just didn't trust him to catch the ball?
Which is, that's crazy too, because I mean, his drop rate in college was like elite.
Yeah, he had a pretty good one, actually.
I mean, even times when he actually got a little bit of PT with the Chiefs, there were a couple abysmal drops, but I think more so people remembered those muffed punts and kind of associated that with he had butterfingers. Because if you go back and look at it, he only had like 3 drops.
Yeah, he hasn't dropped a lot. Like I think he had more drops last year than he had the first 2 years combined.
But yeah, I once again, I think Skyy Moore's done here. I do. I don't think he's going to do anything with the Chiefs. Could Skyy Moore go somewhere else and be successful? Absolutely. If someone wants to use him as a slot receiver and pepper him the football and let him get yards after the catch, that's what he's always done.
I can see him being okay with like Dak Prescott in Dallas.
Yeah, maybe any kind of team. Like even Buffalo could use him. The way that they made Khalil Shakur irrelevant, they could do it with Skyy because they'll actually.
They made him irrelevant.
They made him relevant.
Oh, they said they made him irrelevant. I was like,
No, but I think like any team that would get him the ball quick, and like that's the thing. If you're pitching and catching, just screen passes and quick hitters, he's not going to drop those. He's just not going to. And
give me a scenario. What's the only way? The only way OTAs, off-season programs, every bit of this, all the way up to camp. What is the only way Skyy Moore makes this team and becomes successful? And he don't have to be like a star. But at the same time, the fan base here doesn't want just players that are serviceable. Like anybody that's serviceable, they don't want you. They want Pro Bowlers across the board, or you suck. So he's never getting to that level. So he's never going to win the fans over. It's never happening. But how does he make the team and become a solid contributor? What does Skyy Moore have to do? How would you have to play Skyy Moore?
The only way that Skyy Moore can make the team and be a solid contributor is to somehow win his coaches over to get enough confidence to put him on the football field and use him the way he should be used. And that's not going to happen. It's over for him here.
I feel like Skyy's strength is not the way Andy runs receivers. The same way you'll get bigger guys struggling with it, like the MVSs and stuff. They've got to play all these spots. I think asking Skyy Moore to play all these spots does not work. Like he's strictly a slot
That's
guy.
what's killing him, bro. He's a slot receiver, and that's it. That's all he's going to be in this league.
And he can't get just slot snaps here. He's got to be all over the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not a good. It's not a good marriage. It's not. He don't fit the way Andy likes to use receivers. He doesn't. Like so, I mean,
I think if he's going to succeed, what I was hoping you would say was the way that they wanted to try to use him in his rookie year. Do you remember them lining him up at running back a few times?
Right, they tried to use him as like.
Do you remember what they started
guy?
doing with Kadarius Toney right before he left? Right. Any way to get a receiver involved, they were trying to do it, and they were trying that in Skyy's rookie season.
But they never actually did it. They only did it in camp.
And was that a versatility thing, or was that them seeing like some struggle clues right off the bat, and they're like, "We got to get going"?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. But yeah, Ron's on the same page. If he's going to be successful, it's going to have to be with another team. I just don't think it's going to be here. Syracuse, Chris, I would never suggest Skyy Moore. He did receive kicks there for a minute, and he didn't do a terrible job. But
he did decent last year.
I don't want him in special teams. He never did it ever. He never received a punt in his life until Dave Tobe decided
Did he have
that
a
was a
couple
good
good
idea.
or a couple good kickoff returns last year though?
He did, but I'm okay. I'm okay with not seeing that. I think that you don't put that kid in any position where his confidence could get crushed again, or everybody can come down on him again.
You know how I play Skyy Moore? If I play Skyy Moore at all, I'm using him on quick bubble screens. I'm using him
as
on
a slot
little
receiver.
little whip routes, slants. It's nothing over 5 yards. And I'm going to give him the ball with a little bit of space and let him use his little bit of quickness. Because
I'm sure
what did he
if
do
you
in
got-
college? The most missed tackles forced in the NCAA his senior season. He was that guy.
And I'd be willing to bet that there's probably a YouTube video out there that has every catch Skyy Moore has as a Chief. And it's probably not very long. Okay. But if you go
36 seconds.
if you go look at that, if you go watch it, the times that Skyy Moore was successful in this offense is when he got the ball quick and he created after the catch. You're not going to find any Skyy Moore catches deep down the field or running these amazing routes.
Yeah, he's not going to be like a nuanced route runner that just goes out and beats these top tier corners. It's not happening. He's not creating that separation. Mahomes doesn't even really put the ball in the right place.
He's not got the size to do a lot of that stuff.
Remember looking that up? Patrick Mahomes' passer rating throwing to Skyy Moore was atrocious. He only threw him a catchable ball like 30% of the time.
Yeah. For some reason, they were just weren't on the same page either.
he
And
can't-
that could have been a route running problem. It could have been, or it could just be Mahomes just
Yeah, maybe Sky's not hitting the right
maybe
routes.
by coincidence, Mahomes just sucked ass when he threw the ball to him. I mean, that's possible. So
I've had that. You know, like you play basketball with somebody or something, and you really like the person you're playing with, but like every time you try to get them the ball or something, like it just never
It's
works
just
out.
no.
Like
You're
it
turning
gets
the ball
tipped
over.
away,
Yeah.
you turn it over. It almost becomes like a forced thing.
yeah, I think Skyy Moore kind of did himself in last year when they finally put him in. He ran a little out route and he dropped a ball. One of his only 3 drops I think that he's had. He dropped it. Then
Is that the one where apparently
Brett Veach smacked the
Veach got
table?
mad?
Yeah, I think that might have done him in, honestly. And if it did, it did. That's on him.
Is it that weird they come up with this? I mean, not saying he didn't have like a hernia or whatever he had, oblique.
I don't even know what
Is that
the
what it
hell
was?
happened there.
But it felt like that came out of nowhere last year, didn't it?
Right, and let's move on to Justin Ross real quick while we're on the subject. I think he's gone too. I just don't. Justin Ross is the same to me as Skyy Moore. They're complete opposite wide receivers. They're not the same at all. But they will both be better off in another system.
Justin Ross
Like,
has to play.
if they have
he's
any
gotta be a
chance.
big power slot, to be honest. He has to be like a Marquez Colston or something. He's got to be able to beat linebackers because this kid can't beat corners. He don't
Right, yeah,
separate
he don't
enough,
get
and Mahomes
separation.
doesn't throw tight enough balls. He don't do it.
Yeah.
He won't force it in there.
Right. Well, which just goes back to Patrick Mahomes got to start taking these shots. And he said it himself in an interview, like, hey, I'm respecting defenses too much. I watched it on tape. I have the receivers that can make these plays. We even saw at the end of the Super Bowl, I just slung one out there and Xavier Worthy made the play. Like, he knows what he needs to do. Now it's just translating it. Now it's getting out of your own head, getting out of your own way, giving your receivers chances and letting it roll. And the thing about, we could talk about the back end of the receiving core all day long, but it doesn't matter. I don't think if they take 7, there's still only going to be 4 on the field the majority of the time, or even in rotation. I think that you're going to see 98% Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and then you're going to have Juju and Jalen Royals rotating. Yeah, I think that's how it's going to be. I don't think it matters who the other two are.
Nico needs to get a little bit of a shot.
I would like to see that too, but I'll tell you what, I think in the offense, actually as a receiver, he would fall into the Skyy Moore category where I don't know if I think he might get lost in the sauce. But I do think that Nico's better on the outside than Skyy Moore and making contested catches for some reason.
Nico, I feel like Mahomes maybe trust him a little bit more. Like he's always making good plays in camp. He did pretty well in the preseason last year.
That's how he messed his shoulder up.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal, man. We watched that happen, huh?
Yeah, man. But yeah, it's gonna be fun, dude. I think the Chiefs, they have an opportunity to shut some people up. They do it every year, so why not do it again? Why not do it again? It'll be fun, and it's gonna be a good season. I think if the Chiefs kind of fell short on this roster, and you guys, you know, y'all can either agree with me or not. Just let me know in the chat though, because I'm kind of interested to know. I think if they fell short anywhere on this roster, it was at running back. And
You don't
I
think
say
they made
that
enough of a splash?
I don't, but Brashard Smith could make Brett Veach look like a genius. It just really depends on that. If he can actually come out and do the things that I think he can do and they utilize it, all of a sudden Brett Veach looks really smart that I didn't invest in freaking Travion Henderson or whoever.
Do you think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has kind of made Brett Veach gun shy on a running back? Do you think so like when he missed on the first round pick and then he hits on the 7th round pick, do you think now he feels more comfortable just taking the late shots?
I think that a couple things play into that. I think that first of all, why do you want to invest in something that Andy Reid don't want to use? Okay, so why would I invest a lot of draft capital into a guy?
There were more glaring needs than running back.
Well, I tell you this though. Did Andy Reid not use Clyde Edwards-Helaire his first season though?
No, he did. He absolutely did.
Clyde got so many more carries and opportunities than you've seen Pacheco yet.
Clyde done well until he suffered that injury.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. And on top of that, you hit the nail on the head. You missed on your first round pick. You hit on a 7th round pick. So if we can wait around to the 7th and get an Isaiah Pacheco, then why wouldn't we do that? You know, we have other needs.
Would you have felt more comfortable if Brett Veach would have took a 3rd round pick? And I don't even remember. I can't remember how it works. Omar Norman was round 2. Who was round 3? Was it Gelati?
Mm-hmm.
Would you have been more comfortable saying, screw the pass rush with Gelati? I'm going to take, the kid out of Tennessee or one of those.
I think
backs.
if you wanted, if you wanted a game-changing running back or someone that had the potential to be that, you had to take them in the 2nd round latest. You had to try to get a Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins.
Would you have felt better, though, with a Judkins or a Travion Henderson going into this season? Like, are you telling me you would have felt better there and just saying, screw whoever we've got? Like, go ahead and get rid of the pass rush again.
I'll say this. I think if they would have taken Travion Henderson, then absolutely I would have probably felt a little more comfortable about the running back position. But then again, it's still a coin flip because it's a rookie. You never really know. They haven't been on the field yet. And also, I think
Brett Veach just said we got Travion at home and Elijah Mitchell.
Well, I think he said we got Travion in the 7th round because Brashard Smith plays kind of the same game as him. And he's a little bit faster. I can't remember if Henderson ran a 4.3 or not. He might have. But either way.
No, I think Judkins was faster, wasn't he?
No. Judkins was a 4.4 guy.
He was faster on something. Was it the 10-yard split?
I got to go look. I got to go look at it. Let me go look.
I've got the whole entire thing right here.
Do you?
Yeah, it just has to load.
Henderson ran a... But yeah, I honestly think that Brashard Smith is kind of what Travion Henderson is. It's just like more of a long shot. He ran a 4.43. You were right. I don't know what Judkins ran, but 4.43 for Travion Henderson.
Judkins was a 4.48, so he was just a smidge behind. Judkins had a faster 10-yard split. He's a 1.51. Travion was a 1.52.
Travion was also the number 1 ranked athleticism running back at the combine with a score of 92, an elite score.
So you're saying instead of Omar Norman Lott, where we picked,
that's what you would have had to sacrifice.
You would have had to have taken. So here was the running backs that were available. Cam Scattaboo, he went in round 4. Caleb Johnson went in round 3. DJ Giddens, he went all the way in round 5. Dylan Sampson for Tennessee went in round 4. Devin Neal didn't go to round 6. Bashal Tootin went in round 4.
Bashal Tootin.
Who else are you going to take after that? I mean, R.J. Harvey went in round 2.
Right. I'm telling you, Travion Henderson was kind of the cutoff. And I'll tell you the difference between like a Travion Henderson and a Brashard Smith. First of all, I love Brashard Smith. And I think he offers a lot. Totally different athlete when you're talking about Travion Henderson. Okay, so way more athletic. Way more experience playing better competition, way more experience at the running back position. Brashard Smith was a receiver at Miami for the longest time. He just transferred to SMU, went to running back, had a big year. And also Travion Henderson was potentially the best blocking back in the entire draft. And you don't get that with Brashard Smith. You just get a lot more well-rounded player when you're taking, probably to me, the last game changer at running back. The only other way they could have done that was to maybe try to trade up and get Omarion Hampton in front of the Chargers. But you're not going to do that in the first round when you're sitting there, when you can sit there and get potential future left tackle. Like you don't do that.
So Brashard Smith turned out to be the third fastest 40 in the entire running back class. His 10-yard split's not very impressive. Do you know what his 10-yard split is? I was talking to Omarion Hampton's a 154. Quinshon Judkins was a 151. Basil Tootin was a 149. Brashard Smith's 10-yard split was a 158. That was literally one of the lowest. And he also has one of the lowest verts out of everybody in the class, which speaks to explosiveness. Yet again, he's got the third highest 40-yard dash time.
Right.
So it's like it's almost an anomaly there. It's almost why maybe he fell a little bit. You're like, what are you getting here?
Well,
and then you combine that with his size.
You're getting a pass catching back. You're getting a receiver.
You're getting maybe a Jerick McKinnon style guy
that don't block as well.
You've got that with Elijah Mitchell too. I think Elijah Mitchell's got all the Travion Henderson stuff that you want out of him. I think Elijah Mitchell has that.
Well, that's the thing about it. I think it's one of those things where Andy's going to continue to do running back by committee and try to do all this stuff with 3 or 4 guys instead of just having one go.
I think you're going to see it as quick as the preseason. You will see what they can do, because how many years did we see? Like we've waited on certain players to do certain things in the preseason, and they can't do it, right? And then you'll see players like Nico have a good preseason, and then before it's said and done, he finds his way on the roster and he finds his way contributed.
Right.
But like you had guys like, say, Deneric Prince, who had all the hype in the world. He just couldn't get nothing done in the preseason, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, we appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for hanging out with us today, talking a little bit of football in the dead of the off season. Do us a favor. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do that. It just takes a second. Share it out with your friends, whatever. Go watch the videos we put out lately if you haven't done that. Just anything to help the channel out. We would much appreciate that. We're going to be here for a few more minutes, so get in the chat. If you have any questions, get them out there. If you want to show us some love, whatever you want to do. We'll have about 5 more minutes here, and then we're going to get on out of here for the morning. TGZ, been a member for 18 months, says on tape Smith accelerates like he has a rocket up his ass. So I don't care how low the 10-yard split. Kid looks fast. So that's the thing about it. He might not have that quick burst that you're looking for, Mike. But if you do watch his tape, he can hit the home run ball. Like when he does find his opening, he gone. Like they're not going to catch him.
No, you're right. I think you have to look at the tape. The tape shows a little bit different than a guy that is training to come out of a stance and be an Olympic runner on a time. You know what I'm saying? You're coming out of a stance and a time, trying to time a 40. But playing speed is sometimes more important. And sometimes playing speed doesn't translate over to how fast they are, and sometimes it goes the opposite way, right? So I think you do have to look at the tape. I don't base everything on that. I just think it's a little bit of an anomaly as to why you'd have a smaller vert and a smaller 10-yard split than somebody that's, say, 30 pounds heavier than you are. That's a cause for concern for some of the players or some of the coaches and different things and the scouts. But I think you look at more. I think tape says a lot more than testing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. Absolutely. I don't think that's even arguable. But Brashard Smith is going to be fun for the Chiefs. I really do think so. I think Andy's going to find ways to use him. I think he's going to catch a lot of balls. I honestly think he's going to basically be a receiving back. I mean, you got to think, man, this kid was an all ACC wide receiver at Miami. He converted to running back, went to SMU, and had a killer season, like 1,300 yards. He had like 500 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns. Dude went off. So, I mean, it's definitely there. We'll just see how it translates to the NFL, man, because that's always the big question, right? And that's going to be the big question going forward with all these guys we just drafted. So it's going to be fun to watch, man. Hopefully Brett hit on some of these picks. Hopefully Patrick Mahomes is back to his old self. It gets out of his head. He can, rely on these new weapons he has. I think that they've proven that they can be there for him, especially Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. Like to see Hollywood Brown get more in the mix this year and then see what Jalen Royals can do. I want to see, Travis lost 25 pounds. Talked about that. Wants to play in his best shape this season, which could potentially be his last season. And I just think the Chiefs need to come out, man, with a little bit of purpose this year. Now, like I said, they don't have a whole lot to prove because they've done it time and time again. But when you go out like that in the Super Bowl, and then here comes all the noise, I think you still have something to prove. Like you can find a reason to get out there and whoop some ass, and that's what they need to do this year. Mike Irish says Skyy Moore will 100% make the team this year. He knows the playbook, knows the scheme, and he doesn't need to be trained. He's still on the cheap side. To be honest, he never impressed me. I don't think he's 100% locked to make the roster.
I don't think he's 100% locked, but he's every bit of 50-50 right now, like for sure. So
yeah,
if he has a solid camp, it's very, very possible.
Right. Just want to point out, Sam says offensive line cannot pass block without the threat of a running game. That's another thing. The offensive line has been a problem. You can't ignore that. But they have not been helped in any shape or form. If you don't have a running game, it's very difficult to stop some of these edge rushers. There's some crazy edge rushers in this league, Mike. You start talking about Max Crosby and guys like that. It's very tough to contain them every play when they know you're not running the football. It's just nearly impossible. So I think along with fixing that offensive line and having the right guys there, they've also got to establish some sort of running game to alleviate some of that. There has to be some balance in this offense. So I want to see Mahomes back to his old self, but I also want to see Andy get a little bit more balance in the offense and go from there.
Yeah, the offense needs a little yin and yang. It's got to have a little bit, man. You can't have a deep passing game when your defenders are being able to pin their ears back and not have to worry about stopping the run. Yeah. You can't run the ball if you know what I'm saying. Like everything, it's a little give, a little take. It's finding that balance. I think Andy's got off that a little bit. I think Patrick doesn't help that because he has the mentality of, I've got the greatest player to ever play. Why do I want to take the ball out of his hands and give it to Brashard Smith, a 7th round pick? You know, right. Why do I want to do that? That's what he's going to say. I'm going to let Pat run an RPO, and he'll make that decision.
But Pat can't. It doesn't matter if you're the GOAT or not. You're not going to do it all by yourself. You've got to have the other little elements of the game RPO, that allow you to be that guy.
The RPO, is as much as that can create confusion for defenses and threat of big plays, the RPO does hinder a long passing game, and I think it actually hinders Mahomes' thought process a little bit. I think sometimes he gets in his head with that a little bit as well.
Absolutely, but I think K. Wayne kind of hits the nail on the head here, too. If you're not going to establish a running game, and you're not going to consistently run the football, you got to be able to get a screen game. You got to do something. You got to have a short game with a long game. You're never going to have the long game that you want if you don't do something other than that. Or if
the kind of Patrick screen Mahomes game that Dick Vermeil unleashed that time with Priest Holmes against the Raiders.
If Patrick Mahomes is going to run around with the football for 6 seconds every play looking for something to develop downfield, it's never going to work. It's just
because even the most elite offensive lines don't hold up for no more than 4 seconds.
No,
that's just the way the games become very fast paced. Everybody's a good athlete. People forget offensive or defensive line get paid too. Well, so offensive linemen don't win every rep. You've got literally microscopic seconds to get the ball out.
Well, look no further than the Super Bowl for an example of that. With the Eagles, they had Saquon Barkley, the best running back in the league, and they wore him out. They rode his back all the way to the freaking Super Bowl, right? So the Chiefs' defense, which was a good defense, they stopped Saquon Barkley. They had to focus on making sure he didn't beat them, right? And they kept him to like 50 yards rushing. But what did that allow? That allowed a mediocre quarterback with some weapons out there to absolutely light the scoreboard up.
Yeah, a mediocre quarterback that basically just kind of threw it up and trusted his receivers to make some plays.
Absolutely. It's the best passing game that Jalen Hurts has ever had. Right there in the Super Bowl. It's insane, bro.
Jalen Hurts, he's borderline slapnut too.
Yeah, he's smug, bro. I don't like him at all.
Dude, yeah, he's kind of adapted that Nick Sirianni smugness. And he's
very
annoying,
smug.
Dude.
I don't like him. He's not as good as people think he is. He plays on a super team. He's got more weapons than Joe Burrow has, and that's saying something.
When he come out of college, he was kind of like a humble guy, but I feel like he's losing that a little bit. He thinks he's Showtime.
No. I think he tricked people with that. I think by being quiet, everyone's like, oh, he's so humble. No, he's smug, and he's kind of a jerk. And here's the thing about it. He's a running back.
Oh, him and Lamar. Just the running back team.
He's a running back, bro. Dude, I'm telling you, it took a Pro Bowl team for him to win.
Tush push?
Yeah, I can believe that, and it's sad though.
But do you believe like teams like the Lions? I knew there was going to be a Dan Campbell do something stupid there as well because he's too manly to admit. Like he's like, I'm a grown man that takes steroids. You think I'm scared of a tush push? That's why he didn't do it, right?
Yeah, he'll go to every press conference and cry his eyes out. I have a good cry here. Start this press
He
conference.
said, man, I had 12 men on the field because I just like looking at them, man. I love them, bro.
That's my point, Sam. They still ran the ball 26 times, even though it wasn't getting them anywhere. Right? But you still had to respect it because they were still giving him the ball. And if you sleep on Saquon Barkley, he's going to beat your ass.
Especially when you tackle Saquon Barkley, they could just up and give you a 15-yard penalty and move the ball forward.
You don't even have to tackle him. You can just touch him a little bit, even when he's completely irrelevant to the play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I want to see a redemption, Red Dead Redemption tour. That's what it's going to be. I think the Chiefs still are the best team in football, and I think they'll prove that this year. Tough schedule, tough start to the schedule, but I'm looking for this team to win 13, 14 games at least. Be right back in the mix of it, get back to the Super Bowl, win the AFC, do what they do. And I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are too. Appreciate y'all being here. Do us a favor, hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.
Get wild.